Jeff, let's talk some basketball. Bring on our man Keith Pompey for some Sixers talk. Keith, how's the travels?
It's all right. It's good. It's good. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine. It's nothing. I mean, hey, the Sixers won eight, no, seven road games in a row, eight road games in a row. So I guess that's pretty good for them.
So, what is it about that? Is this team coming together the way the Phillies came together when they were on the road? Were they going out and they bonding, or is there a secret sauce to what's going on?
I wouldn't say that the team is bonding. What I would say is a different group. I mean, if you think about it, like right now, the only three holdovers from last year uh or the previous years, like let's say 3 years ago, is Tobias, Joel, Shake Milton, and Furkan Korkmaz. And for the rest of them, they're all new guys. And a lot of times we talk about this is a first, they're finally winning. But to these guys, like they haven't experienced this. They haven't experienced the losing on the road. So I think that you got a lot of different personalities. You have some guys with tougher mindsets are like, hey, we have nothing to do with this. So I think that's what the biggest difference is. Now, again, you can say what you said, that these are different guys who fit into what Doc Rivers wants to do. But I think when we compare them to teams in the past, it's kind of hard to do so because they have so many new faces.
So I get my kid in bed the other night, go to turn on the game, and it's already 23-1. They're beating the Bulls. I haven't seen a start like that from this Sixers team in a really long time. Without James Harden, by the way. Talk about what we saw in that game against the Bulls, and then we'll get to the health and everything else going on with this team.
It's funny that you said that, or great that you said that, because, Doc Rivers said that, these guys were a little disappointed at the way they lost. And you can sense the feeling when they were on the plane. You could sense the feeling when they went through their like little morning routine, like meetings and stuff like that. And I felt like they like, hey, look, we were tired. We took a L to this team. We're going to come out there and oppose our will, and that's what happened. Now, also, Chicago didn't help itself with missing like a lot of shots, and the Sixers were on fire, but Chicago was missing shots, and I feel like that was part of the problem. But they came out extremely aggressive, and they got after it. So, but I do think that it was one of those, like, they were determined to like stick it to the Bulls.
So when you look at it, a game like that, Embiid goes out, doesn't play in the second half. On TV, they said it's because the Sixers are up really big. Then all of a sudden, I'm following you on Twitter, and it's like calf tightness. What's going on?
Wait. So what you're saying is Keith's information is different than the Sixers PR guys?
Clearly more accurate. Not surprised. That's why I went to the Twitter to find out what was actually going on. Like, I don't begrudge the announcers.
I only get my information on the Sixers from one place.
I don't begrudge the announcers for giving out the information they got, but I kept like texting a friend, like, where's Embiid? He's not on the bench. He's not on the court. Like, clearly something was up. It wasn't just that the Sixers were winning big. So one, how's his health? And two, why the little shadow games where they can't just say, like, he had some calf soreness? There was video. Everybody saw him grab it.
Yeah, it was crazy. I mean, it was one of those things like where I text it, people trying to get some information and like, oh, I'll get it for you. And then all of a sudden text again, like, hey, anything? And it just went dark. It went dark. And like everybody on Twitter was going crazy. You know what I mean? And then, you kind of felt bad for the TV people because it's kind of like they're affiliated with the team, but they got kind of put out there to look crazy, to say that, oh, he's in the back because they're up by 30. And the thing is, like, well, why isn't he on the bench? You know what I mean? So, and to me, it kind of like when you do things like that, it makes people second guess you. Like, it's one of those things where you just say, hey, you saw him, he's getting treatment on his calf. Now I'm thinking, well, the calf worse than just tightness. Why is it so tight? Is he going to play the next game? So, yeah, it was a bad look. I mean, and I think the Sixers really fumbled that one because Joel Embiid was trending on Twitter last night for not being on the bench, and no one knew why. And that was a bad look for the Sixers, an extremely bad look.
Well, what we do know is Joel Embiid's having a season. a great season. When you look at Joel Embiid, the way he's playing this year, we talked to you at the beginning of the season, and we all kind of noticed that he didn't start out the season with a lot of enthusiasm. What has it been about Joel this season that he seems to have evolved, one, into a leader, and two, he seems to have like this renewed motivation?
You know what? I think it's James Harden, to be honest with you. I think it's Harden. I think when you look at it, first of all, Harden gets a lot of assists, but 80% of his assists go to Joel Embiid. Like they do this thing where Harden's running down the floor, Joel's trailing, Harden does a pass between his legs or back, and then Joel goes up for a dunk or, whatever, right? So I think what happened is when it really started to change was when Harden came back after that injury and they went to Houston and he was Harden of old. He was over dribbling. He was doing all types of stuff and they lost the game. Harden looked bad. Since that time, for the most part, he's been a facilitator. But a lot of this stuff is when Doc Rivers said, this is not a democracy. Harden always looks for Embiid first. And I think Embiid is happy because of that. And he's getting the touches. He's doing everything that he can. Now, let's face it. His skill set has improved, right? He looks great. But I honestly think that Harden realizing that, hey, you know what? I got to feed this guy to make him happy. I can be the assist champion, right? Win assist title. He'll get the scoring title, and we'll both be happy. So I think it's more of Harden taking a step back and letting Joel shine than Joel doing anything.
How do the Sixers handle these last 10 games? Obviously, you have Embiid, who wants that personal verification of the MVP that he feels like he should have had in past years. Balancing that with Embiid had mild calf tightness the other night. James Harden had a sore Achilles. Jalen McDaniel didn't play with his hip. How does Doc balance getting Joel the accolades he wants with making sure that everybody is healthy when they step on that court in the playoffs, which they haven't been in the past couple of years?
Yeah, that's the crazy part because, right about now, you look at the 76ers, they got the best road record in the league, right? The best one. But that's not going to mean a hill of beans if these guys come in injured or still like doing injuries. Because let's face it, y'all know basketball. The stuff that they're doing now, the intensity is going to go up another level in the postseason. So, they got to think long and hard about what they want. Now, again, you can balance it a little bit, but what that means is Joel's minutes probably may go down. If his minutes goes down, then all of a sudden his numbers are going to go down. Also, with that it's kind of like, him like scoring all these points and all that stuff. All that's going to do, like you say, it could bring more like opportunities for him to make the injury worse. And that's not just for him, it's for James Harden, it's for Jalen McDaniels, and it's for PJ Tucker. We're not talking about his ankle, right? So to me, I kind of think that Doc Rivers has to have a real hard look at these next 10 games. He also has to have a discussion with Joel because, hey, look, I know you want the scoring title. I know you're the front runner for the MVP, but that's not going to help us if you're unable to be 100% healthy in the postseason. I mean, so, me personally, I don't know, y'all. I think there may be a couple games where Joel's going to have to sit out if it's me.
Okay. Well, that's if it's you, and that's if it's us. The question is, will Joel do that? Well, I mean, we heard him say, it's all about the playoffs. We know that he wants to win in the playoffs. Nobody's questioning that. But will he be able to throttle back, recognizing that the playoffs is what matters when the MVP trophy is sitting there for the taking if he continues to play the last 10 games like he's played the rest of the season?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And that's the major question, right? Because it's one of those things where, you say you don't want the MVP, you say you want to be a team player, but then now you got a tough challenge. And what are you going to do? You know what I mean? Like, what are you actually going to do? And I mean, I think that's going to be telling. I mean, I do. Like, I honestly think that Joel does want to be the team. He is being a team player. He is being a leader. He's doing all that. But let's face it, he's never won MVP before. He's never done all that other stuff. And it's hard for me to say to someone, hey, you can't do it. I mean, even though I'm saying this is Doc has to try to talk him into, but it's also that human nature thing. If you're Joel Embiid, you're saying to yourself, like, but hey, I want to be one of the all-time greats. I want to be an MVP. I want to be this guy. So that's the tough spot because he's having a phenomenal year. And to this point, to me, even if he doesn't play another game, Joel Embiid is going to get my vote. If I have a vote, if I get a vote, he's going to get my vote because I've seen enough. And I think that, the things that he's doing is leading the Sixers to get these victories. So in my opinion, he is the MVP. But again, dude, it's going to be a tough decision and it's going to be a tough for him. And I hate it for him because he's going to be put on the spot.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. He's got to choose. You want the personal recognition, but in the end, you want a title. And so which one you want more? So, all right, assuming health, let's sort of talk rotation with this team. Maxey's obviously back in the starting rotation, playing much more aggressively and better out there. Seems like Paul Reed has kind of moved into that backup center position more consistently at times. You can tell me if I'm wrong there. And DeAnthony Melton really seems to have gotten his place there. Benches will shorten in the playoffs. Who are the Sixers' rotational players when we go into the playoffs here?
I think you just named two of them. You named so I want to say it's going to probably be. I think it's going to be Jalen McDaniels if he's healthy, right? It's going to be Paul Reed, and you are right. He has played a whole lot better. It's going to be George Niang. And let's see. So George is going to be, huh?
And what about Melton?
Yeah, DeAnthony Melton. Yeah. And I think if there's another guy, I think George might be. See, because the problem with George is George defensively, he may hurt you at times, right? But I think the fact that Jaden McDaniels can play a lot of different positions and he can shoot the ball, I think that's one of those things where, like, okay, if I'm not going with Shake this game, I can try to get away with him. But right now, those four guys, I think, have to be it. I do. I think that, Niang, a possible, depending on the matchup, and then Shake would be the guy to possible. But when we talk about McDaniels, Melton, and what's his name, Paul Reed, those are going to be, in my opinion, are going to be three definites.
House seems to be at least getting a few more minutes lately. Does he fit into this at all in the playoffs because he's more of a veteran guy or no? I mean, let's face it, that's been Doc's history, is to play the guys who have more experience.
Yes and no. I mean, I think that, I think that the reason why he is getting the minutes is just because Jalen McDaniels is injured. Before Jalen McDaniels was injured, he was getting a lot of DNP. So, you know what I mean? So I think, like, if Jalen is healthy, he's going to get those minutes. And the thing about Jalen is, he's a guy, he's skinny dude, but he can go in there and he can play multiple positions for you. So it's kind of like he's helping out a lot of different spots, So, and then Doc always says, we're getting the guys that I really like now. We got the guys that I like. So when he says that, I'm looking around. That's the only guy that they picked up. him and Dwayne Dedman. But Paul Reed has played so well that it's hard for you to justify saying, all right, Paul, go to the bench. You're not playing anymore.
Wait a second. So you're telling me Mac McClung is not going to be playing in the playoffs?
Matt McClung will probably happen. What happened to him is Matt McClung will get called up, and you'll see him. You get to the game at 5:30 or 5 o'clock for a 7 p.m. tip, and you'll see Matt McClung out there working out. And then when the game comes, you'll see Matt McClung with civilian clothes on, basically.
Jeff can make jokes about Mac McClung, though, but I still have concerns that when it comes to crunch time minutes, Doc will Doc. and he will go and put Montrezl Harrell in the game or Dwayne Dedmon in the game because they've got more NBA experience than Paul Reed. And
I'm not a yeah. Here's the thing about Dwayne Dedmon. Like Dwayne Dedmon hasn't done anything when he's been out there for me to say is a struggle. The thing about, and I do like Montrez, I just think that, and I like Montrez a lot for what he brings to the table offensively. But the thing about Montrez, you got to know when you have Montrez, you have to have him out there with a rim protector, somebody that's going to help out. And when he was with the Clippers and all that stuff, it worked out because they had rim protectors with him, a rim protector. I think that when he's in the game, he'll give you points, but guys are the opposing centers and everyone else is just running straight to the rim. So while he's scoring points, he's giving up points at the other end. Whereas you look at Paul Reed, he's a rim protector. You look at Dwayne Dedmon, he's active, stuff like that. But I still think that Montrez's skill set is what you need on a championship type of team, somebody who would come in and give you buckets. But the problem is that's a situational guy. He doesn't like that, but it's one of those things where stay ready, as they always say, and then you come in and give stuff. The only problem is, like, when he was playing, opposing teams were scoring at 70% at the rim when he was in the games. So you can't really go to that. You just can't.
Well, yeah, but the question is what do you need off that second team? If what you need off the second team is defense, it seems like Paul Reed is the better option. If you're saying what you need is offense, is Montrezl Harrell the better option coming off the bench?
I think it's basically like, again, is going to be basically dependent on the situation. Like, I think if you're down and you need someone and you got some defenders out there and you need somebody to get buckets, that's going to be Montrez in the pick and roll all day. You know what I mean? Montrez is going to get fired up. But then if everybody else is baking and cooking and you got these staggered lineups, I think that you're going to have to go with Paul Reed. And then if Paul Reed gets in like foul trouble, then you're going to say, hey, I'm going to Dwayne Dedmon. The thing about Dwayne Dedmon, he hasn't really shown it a lot. Like, he can shoot a little bit, but he just hasn't, had the situations and stuff to showcase it, like late in the games and stuff. So I feel like when you have all three of these guys, it's going to be based on the situation. You need a guy who's going to be a rim protector, someone that's active, going to drive, grab rebounds, this and that. And as good as Paul Reed has been, it's not a guarantee because sometimes he goes off script. But if he's going to grab rebounds and do that, that's going to be the guy. If you need a big who can come in and pick and pop and do certain things and still be active, that's Dedmon. But if you need somebody that's going to come in and be in the pick and roll and be a bona fide scorer and just get you buckets, that's who you're going to have in there. So it's like, right now, none of the three of them are somebody that you will say, this is like having Andre Drummond, like he's going to be the bona fide guy. He's going to be your backup. Like, I think all three of these guys are situational right now. In an ideal situation, if Paul Reed wasn't playing at such a high level, you would say it's going to be Dwayne Dedmon. You would say that.
Yeah, but see, that's the problem. Is I sit there and listen to you, and if I was driving right now and listening to this, I'd be sitting there going, I know what Doc's done in the past. I know that he doesn't trust the young guys. He hasn't shown that he trusts Paul Reed in a big situation. Even though Paul Reed seems to have earned it, you wonder if whether or not Doc's reflex, is going to be to go to Dedmon or Harrell, even though Reed is clearly the best option.
Yeah, but I think a lot of it is going to, in the years past, I felt like it was because he didn't have any faith in Paul Reed, right? I feel like right now, Paul Reed he controls his own destiny, so to speak. The problem with, and I love Paul Reed, great guy, talk to him all the time. I like him a lot.
Taking him to Denny's?
And I know, right?
Can't believe he doesn't have a marketing deal yet.
I need to like just have it for a souvenir, like buy one of his in the mud sweatshirts, right? Hoodies, right? But here's the thing about Paul Reed, and Paul Reed will tell you this. The thing with Paul is sometimes, and what I mean by go off script, they want him to like stay out of foul trouble. They want him to like be a rim protector. but they also want him to grab rebounds, offensive rebounds, turn around and hit outlet. It's like outlet it to the wing. Sometimes Paul gets the rebound and people are wide open, and my man is spinning and going right to the basket, right? And throwing up some crazy stuff sometimes. And so that's why Paul Reed controls his own destiny. So if Paul Reed starts doing that, then we ain't gonna see Paul Reed for that much longer. And he knows it. And he's like, yeah, man, I messed up today. Like, stuff like that. So, if Paul lets the emotion and everything get the best of him, then it's not gonna be good. But I think that he's shown a lot. Like you saw him Wednesday against the Bulls. Paul looked good out there. I mean, he really looked good. He was athletic. They couldn't keep up with him. He played really well, and he's been that way all the games. I think in Charlotte he had 3 blocks. So Paul has been playing. It's just a matter of Paul not letting Paul get the best of him.
Well, yeah, and along those lines, he's been more under control. Which when he was younger, the aggressiveness, the fouls that he would commit. He took himself off the floor, separate from whatever he did when he turned around with the ball. He was taking himself off the ball with the way he was playing. I got a question for you, though, just about the refs in general and how the players are kind of relating to them this year. We're seeing a lot. The other night, Luka Doncic kind of did the money sign at a ref. Trae is out there. Trae Young is out there saying refs should be held accountable for mistakes. Mark Cuban, you're going out to Golden State to cover the Sixers out there. The Warriors won a game by 2 the other night where Mark Cuban says the refs didn't tell him who had the right ball. Are we seeing more of a kind of headbutting relationship with the officials this year in the NBA?
Wait. Before Keith actually answers with actual facts, let me just throw in there. You just named 3 of the biggest complainers in the NBA.
I understand that, but
like you literally just named Mark Cuban, complainer, Trae Young, complainer.
This is Luka.
And Luka, who complains about everything.
Okay,
so Keith, go ahead. You can go with facts now, but I'm just sitting there going, it's 3 complainers. I don't make anything.
Here's the thing. I don't. But you're right. But like, it doesn't Luka do this, y'all, after every play?
Yeah.
But so does Harden every time. So does Harden every time he wants a call when he's going to the basket. The players have done that. They've lobbied for the call in the past. It just seems like there's a lot more public to me this year than has been in the past.
I don't like it. To be honest with you. Now, first of all, so. My thing is, it sounds like crazy what happened. Like, with the
Dallas game.
Dallas game where both of them thought they were inbounds in the ball.
I was trying to explain it to Jeff. He's like, well, where was Dallas? I was like, they were on the other side of the court. Nobody was there.
Yeah, like it to me, and that's also like, that's where the coach, that's where the captain of the team, like, yo, what's going on here? Like, they both were trying to like, oh, they're dumb. And then they just inbounds the ball and they scored. Like, it was just crazy to me. But you know what? There's a lot of younger refs here. And it's kind of sort of like, from what I see, like, you watch the Sixers games and you'll see a guy think that he got fouled. It's some contact, but it's kind of like not really not to where you're saying, oh, dude, that you really messed that call up. Sometimes it happens, but not all the time. And you see a guy running over to the ref, yelling and screaming while the play is going on, right? And it's like, it's to a point where I think is a little bit disrespectful. But they do it they don't do it to the refs that have been there for years. It's always these young ones. And they're getting in their faces and they're disrespecting them. So I don't like it. I just don't. It's like to a point where every game there's somebody calling a foul. Every play. Like, James Harden drives the lane. Doom, doom, doom. Foul. Tobias Harris. Foul. All of it. And it's kind of like, I remember back in the day, the only people who got those type of calls were Michael Jordan, Larry Bird, Julius Erving, Dr. J. You know what I'm saying? Like, now Joel Embiid gets it. we're talking about LeBron James. You got to be the face of the NBA or of your team to get these calls. But we all knew it. But now it just seems like, I don't know, even down to the coaches are complaining. I don't like it. Now, again, are these refs making mistakes? Some of them probably are. They're young. They're young refs. But I also feel like that some of these players are trying to impose their will on a rookie or like inexperienced ref or a female ref sometimes, just so they can do it. But I don't feel like they wouldn't do it years ago, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, well, so let's talk about tonight. The Sixers are out in Golden State.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the Golden State team that we've all been used to seeing. Is this a game that the Sixers have in the bag?
Ooh, I never meant to say that.
Because we got to find out what's going to happen with these guys. We're going to have to find out, is Embiid going to play? They're all like questionable, right? So we're going to find out if Embiid's going to play. What's the status with Harden? Doc is saying like, hey, Doc is saying like, hey, yeah, we expect them to play. We hope that them to play, but also I think that expect to play was to make sure people stop panicking, right? So the deal is, as much as we say like this is a guaranteed one, this is something that they're going to have in the bag. Anything can happen, dude. And this team, here's the thing about this Golden State team. This is the crazy part. They won 8 games in a row at home. Like, they have one of the best home records. It's just that when they get away, they struggle. So this is going to be a tough environment for the Sixers. It would be nice for the Sixers if they can go in there and get a victory. But nah, this isn't like going to Charlotte or going to Indiana and thinking you're just going to sweep them.
I just don't want you to tweet it was a schedule loss afterwards, okay? Keith Pompey, safe travels. Jeff, any final thoughts before we let the man go do his work?
No, let's go. Let the man go do his work. He's got a lot of people to see if they're healthy before that game starts.
At Pompey on Sixers, keep up with Keith Pompey. Keith, thanks for always giving us some time, man.
Go Pitt. Thank you.